Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. This is Design of the Week episode 30 and today we are starting off with Eagle. So, if you had a look at the feathers of an eagle, that's what I try to make for this design. So as you can see, we already have the 3 feathers on both sides of the eagle craft. And I think I just called it Eagle. Yeah, Eagle Mark 1, not the Eagle. Oh. Now this is a VTOL craft and you will see me place down the VTOL engines soon enough. Usually with VTOLs I always have a problem with them. I don't know, it's just me really. And VTOLs are easy if you know what you're doing. But yeah, after a bit of troubleshooting, this is a fairly good design, right? It's basic, which made the VTOL easier to configure. And what I mean by that is, easy to find out what the problems were. Now, the VTOL engines that I placed, in fact, this is the first time me testing the design. So, yeah, and the VTOL placement was not the best, but it was able to lift us up. And there I was just experimenting, just seeing exactly how this design works on first flight, which is surprising. Like, VTOLs, I always fail with VTOLs, and, somehow I get it the first time. And there I am, just enjoying this craft. Very easy to fly around. And yeah, after doing a few stupid stuff, I smash it. Bang, there we go. And restart. So, for this design, I really wanted to make it suborbital, right? Or at least enable it to go into space. And yeah, so I ended up doing that. And if you just looked just a couple of seconds ago, I did add some liquid fuel engines. And look at that. I was on one wheel just then, yay. Yeah, so liquid fuel fuel tanks. Yeah, fuel tanks. And eventually I was going to add the engines, of course. And that would just give us a bit of thrust to get into space. Because it's a little bit difficult to get into space with just jet engines. Yeah, a little bit different. It's best to just have one engine, possibly, if you're trying to go into space, because of the flame out effect that you usually get. And there we go, another smash. That's just me playing around pretty much. But yeah, I am quite pleased with this design. If you want to download it, there is a download link in the description. And just a piece of advice: when you turn on the VTOL engines, just by pressing number 1 on your keyboard, and that will turn on, but the VTOL engines will push your craft backwards, and I'll smash just then. But that was my fault because I ejected the parachute, deployed the parachutes. That's the proper word. Yeah. So yeah, look how good it is at gliding, and I like how it just stabilizes in the air. It looks so cool, just like a real eagle. Nah, eagles don't stabilize in there. What the heck am I saying? But yeah, so I have a little Kerbal there. And I just really wanted to see how it would look on the Kerbal's position. Look how cool that looks. Bang, there we go. And number 2 on your keyboard would turn on the back jet engines to propel you forward, of course. And so yeah, back to instructions on how to use this design. You turn on the VTOL engines, press number 1, and let that run for like 2 seconds or something, and then press number 2 on your keyboard. Now, right there is perfectly fine, but what I usually did was I turned on the VTOL engines, temporarily turned on the back engines by using the number 2 on the keyboard, and that would just give you enough thrust to move forward instead of backwards, which is what the VTOL engines would usually push you, is like backwards. Yeah, so if you want to try the design, play around with it with yourself. What? Play around with it for yourself? Huh? Yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm sleepy. No, I'm not. I'm not sleepy yet. Not yet. It's 10 p.m. Yeah, late night. Came back from work and now doing this. No problem. So let's talk about career mode. So if you're wondering if I have played career mode or not, I've been playing. I sure have been playing. Maybe it's a bad thing that I've been playing because, well, I have other things to do. But of course, I like career mode. It's a bit... I wouldn't even call it a challenge, but it's interesting. Well, it's more exciting because career mode, they give you a very small amount of parts, yeah, that's right. and you're just gonna make do with what you have. And I had some major issues with what do you call it, the balancer, because we have no SAS when you first start out. So, and there's how aerodynamics actually counts, so you need to have aerodynamic parts now. That all was a bit of an issue for me when I started playing career mode, and you'll see it eventually as soon as I edit the episode, because I have several hours worth of content already. I just have to put my voice into the I got to speak pretty much, because it's pre-recorded, of course, and I'm going to do like a bit of like a time lapse as what you're seeing here. But of course, this is not career mode. This is sandbox, of course. Yeah, sandbox. But yeah, career mode still in development, and they will be implementing harvesters eventually. If you don't know what harvesters are, you'll be able to go to any planet or moon, and in particular areas there will be different minerals and other stuff in the ground. And what you do with the harvester is the harvester would collect those minerals and stuff, and you'd have to process it, and then you'd be able to make stuff out of it. So for instance, and I don't know if this is even possible, but I'd like to make it possible, what I'd like the KSP team to do it, is allow us to, after collecting certain things on a moon after being deserted, right? So say you deserted on moon, and you have nowhere else to go, but you have a harvester. If you can harvest certain materials and build your craft on the moon, that would be cool, because you'd be able to come back home, right? Now, of course, you can make an aircraft or something, a jet or rocket or something like that from Kerbin, and then take it to the moon and then bring your Kerbal back. But what's the fun in that? I'm just kidding. Well, you can do that, or you can use the harvester. I am hoping that they do implement something like that. It should be really, really fun, in my opinion. And yeah, I think that is it. No, there's one more thing. Training Kerbals. I remember hearing them mention this. So we'll be able to train Kerbals. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you'd have like really dumb Kerbals, right? As what we usually have, and a little bit crazy. And what you do with these Kerbals is you train them up. So I'm not too sure if they're going to do the same thing that NASA has, because NASA has all these different things to train Kerbals, like put them through that G-force test. I don't even know what it's called, but I know what it is. And yeah, that'd be really interesting if we have that, but then how would it even work for gameplay? Like G-force, I mean, you'd just be turning fast, and I don't know. It'd be interesting. Kerbal training. Or I think one way they're going to do it is, for instance, you get your rocket or something, go to the moon, and then come back to Kerbin, land safely, recover the vessel, and it might be that your Kerbal would have learned a few things along the way, and thus improved himself. And of course, there are no females in Kerbal space programs, so yep. A bit sexist. I'm just kidding. Well, it's not sexist. Whatever. And yeah, so this design, I assumed it was going to work, but I'm surprised what happened at the end. You'll see it eventually. Now here I am. I just want to go land back on Kerbin safely. No smash, no crash. That rhymes. No smash, no crash. Yeah, this does look like an eagle. Tell me what you guys think of this design. I like it. I think it's good. I don't always make VTOLs, but yeah. This one actually worked, somewhat. Except for the end, right? I wanted to keep those two Kerbals alive, but no, of course not. Where's the third Kerbal? Oh, right. The third Kerbal is on the runway. I left him there. Yeah, that's right. Don't worry, he's alive, I think. Maybe. Maybe a re-entry heat effect there. Always love that. And, always very lag infested as usual. What can you do? But I guess that's just a consequence. And let's talk about clouds. Apparently they were thinking about adding clouds into the game, but that'd be very laggy. You'd have to process the clouds, and everything in Kerbal Space Program does look really good, right? The texture is just great. Look at the planet. Look at that. Look at the mountain. Bang, awesome. So if you add a cloud, you'd assume that they're gonna make it look really good. Therefore, probably be laggy. And yeah, so what I did here was I took out the Kerbal, EVA'd the Kerbal, and I've seen it before. If you EVA the Kerbal, at last minute he may survive, and this guy survived until he crashed. So there we go. So this is the next design. This is called Sharpcraft. So again, you're seeing me make the design and just play around with all the different parts that you can actually use. And if you did have a look at the picture, you might want to go back and have a look again or something. Yeah, so the top part there is the top part of the actual craft in the picture. What am I saying? And again, this design was able to reach space, and create an orbit successfully. Although it was extremely difficult, and you will see in a moment how difficult it is. This is not a VTOL, if you're wondering. I think this design would be a little bit more complex as a VTOL, but it'd be possible if you know what you're doing again. And here's one really interesting thing. A bit of a blackout for me on my end. I can't see anything. Yeah, video's not processing, but I know what's happening. Yeah, the RCS fuel tank and the Rockomax fuel tank, there's a problem with them, because when I launch them, and I've had this problem in the past, they are a weak point in the craft. I don't know why. They're just weak. Like, they keep on smashing and separating those two parts when you connect them. I don't know. As you can see there, they're just disconnected. And of course, there's a lot of weight, and tons of weight, right? They're pushing right there, but still, it's the weak point. And not just because there isn't a wheel there, like even if there was, or Smorgy Bay. Either way, it's still a weak point. Maybe this, of course, this design is pretty terrible, but yeah, in other designs, it's not very good. Don't really connect them. I wouldn't advise using those two parts together. But as you can see here, I removed it and added those side-mounted RCS thingamajiggies. Now, this design, when I started testing it, of course, and I realized that there aren't enough jet engines. Now, I didn't want to add rocket engines because you'd run out of fuel very easily, especially with such a heavy design. Whereas, of course, jets aren't very, they don't take too much fuel. So unless you're like constantly throttling up and down, that would be a bit of a problem. Because when you first throttle up, it chews up a lot of fuel, but then after a while, it steadies itself. So yeah, and yeah. So what am I saying? I need to sleep. No, I don't. I just said that before. Ho ho. And there we go. We fly, and something smashed. I don't know what smashed there. I didn't even look, and that's not the back wing, because I had a look. Yeah, the back wings look fine. I don't know, but yeah, as soon as the rocket engine turned off, we flamed out. No, it didn't flame out. Ran out of fuel. Everything just went downhill from there. So here I am, just testing again. I believe I might have added an extra jet engine. Yes, no, maybe. Who knows? But I probably added more wings, because of course wings are very useful and help out with gliding. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Add more wings, help out with gliding, therefore more air time. More time you'll be able to spend in the air, blah blah blah. And yeah, there we go, another smash. A weak point right there. But it's unrelated to the RCS fuel tank. Oh, I don't think it's even called an RCS fuel tank. Yeah, so into the future, here we go. Look at all of those jet engines. That's a lot of jet engines, isn't it? I don't know how many that is, but whatever. And if I look on the bottom right, you can see the jet engine. It's just shaking. That freaked me out a little bit. I assumed this design was going to smash, but no. It ended up not smashing. Well, because of that part. That part was perfectly fine. And everything looks good. And you will see eventually what the problem is with this design. A major problem. Oh, I think someone called me. Wait a second. Who is it? Why did my phone turn off? I don't know. It's been happening. Yeah, it's been happening. A smartphone, HTC 8X. Beats audio. Anyway, back to Kerbal Space Program. Look, the design is out of control. What do we do? Bang! It smashes. See, that's why you always need to test, right? It's just like in real life. You can't just go to the Air Force and say, hey, I have a rocket. Do you want to try it? It's great, but you haven't tested it. You always need to test your stuff. And that's what, bang, there we go, another smash. That was the most random smash. I have no idea what happened there. I was just casually flying, everything looked fine to me, and it smashed. I don't know. Maybe if I go in slow-mo later on, I'll be able to find out what happened, but I really don't know. It's possible that just a single part gave up. That would make sense. And at this point, I tried to fly the remaining part of the craft, which ended badly. Well, in a way, I just ended it because I couldn't be bothered trying to fly it. It was a little bit uncontrollable. And back to the future again, trying out the craft, and this time we do make it into space. Maybe? Yes, I think we do make it into space. Yeah, so this is the final version of the craft, remodeled and somewhat working. But yeah, from the previous smash, I don't know what happened, so I didn't really change anything on the craft. It's as it was before. I think I may have added a Rocketmax engine. Yeah, instead of those Aerospike rockets. Yeah, because either way, Aerospike and Rocketmax engine, both good, but I decided to add Rocketmax because it's a bit of extra thrust, a bit of an extra kick. And that's what you need to get into space with this design. Not necessarily. The Aerospike rockets would have worked fine. It's just me. I'm very particular. Now, and here's the problem. When I turned off the jet engines, I think it may have been number 1 on the keyboard to turn off the engines. And you press, I think it's number 2 to turn on the Rocketmax engine. That just, I don't know what happened, but when you had the Rocketmax engine on and the jet engines off, the craft would actually go uncontrollably. So what I mean by that is the front of the craft would lift up constantly. And you can see it right now. What's happening is when I turn on the back engine, when I throttle up if I can, I'm probably in orbit by now. Am I? Yes? No? Yes, I'm in orbit. Yeah, but yeah, completely uncontrollable. No idea what's happening. If you do try this design and you want to get into space, you'll see exactly what happened to me. It's just, I'm not even too sure what happened. It's either the drag did it? No, it can't be the drag because it was pretty high up in altitude, which means less air resistance. So it's probably, I don't know, maybe the mass, the weight. Because here's the thing, and I think this is something that the KSP team should implement, is the ability to see the mass lift and, well, maybe not thrust. Lift, yeah, you need the lift. Yeah, you need all of them. The ability to see all those 3 things that I've just mentioned whilst actually playing the game. Because, and here's the big thing, when you turn on your engines, the fuel runs out from the front and then moves to the back, right? So from the front to the back, which means that there is a change in mass, and that change in mass can affect your aircraft, as what I think has been affecting my aircrafts quite a lot, especially in this version of the game, 0.22. So they did change something, and it's doing bad things to my designs. Or maybe it's just me and I'm going crazy. Possible. You never know. And yeah, so now all the engines are off, and I'm trying to push the front of the aircraft downwards a little bit. It's not letting me. I'm using RCS fuel. Not happening. So, I don't know. I think it's the mass. Because there's less mass in the front because we used up all the fuel there. And there's more mass at the back. More weight. So, I don't really know. Possible. That could be the problem. Those of you that are experts in this stuff, you guys tell me. As long as you know what you're talking about. I'd appreciate that. But either way, I wanted to keep this design alive, and I tried to save it, but what you'll see in a moment is very devastating to those 3 Kerbals. Lovely Kerbals. And back to career mode, guys. Hopefully they implement all those new things in career mode fairly soon. I'd really like to play that stuff. Career mode is really fun for me. I'm quite enjoying it. I've pretty much almost unlocked all the parts. And as you can see here, look back into the rocket on the design, rocket/jet. Yeah, it's stabilized. It was going forward, but now look what happened. It's unstable. What's happening? I don't know. No idea. It's just moving back and forth. So yeah, and I do have the SAS thing, the advanced SAS module. I think that's on the craft, so everything there should be fine. But really, I don't know exactly what's happening. Yeah, so try the design for yourselves and tell me what's going on. I'd really like to know. And again, look at that. Uncontrollable. Is it the lift? No, I don't think so. Because I did ensure that, well, it could be the lift, because the lift was sort of on an angle when I designed it. When I designed this craft. You'll see what I mean if you try it. But yeah, I think it's just got to do with the weight, the mass and stuff. So here we go. And bang! Look, we survived! And then we crashed. Yeah, I was pretty proud about that. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. And down the link in the description. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.